Welcome everyone to my Sunday chess simul on Lichess. My name is William Paschall. I'm an international master from the United States, living in Budapest, Hungary, streaming from there. It's 6:30 p.m. Central European summertime, and we are going to get started here. Create simul. Alright, it's 30 plus 40 with a little extra time for me, and we've got 20 players. I might accept like one or two extra if it's like 20 and there's a couple people that want to play and they want to sneak in there. I'm going to try to keep it under 25 because I've done 25. 25 gets really hard. And 25 can get up to like 3 hours long, so I'm going to accept everybody here. But I think we're going to keep it to like, as I said, 22, a little under 25. Glide Simulator asked me if I was okay. I've been kind of busy the last week, but we are fine. A lot of familiar names: Glideson, Jan Brown, Morphy Fisher, Ozzy and Lisa Tari, M47, Jeroen is here, and Geese. Jeroen, good to have you, man. The stream looks good. Becoming a professional moderator here on Twitch. I think we're probably going to keep the simul at this new time just a little bit later, because I was usually starting at 6. I think mostly in the past, 6 or 7. Now 6:30 seems like a good time. I'm going to keep it in around there. So we've got 15 players. Hopefully we'll pick up a couple more, and if not, I'm going to wait like 5 minutes at the most to get started. Stream looks good. We've got audio, camera. I haven't shaved, which is usually popular with everybody. I get a lot of grief when I shave. Hey, he shaved. He looks like a baby. We're good. We're good. I haven't been playing as much off stream, on Lichess maybe. This week I was a little bit busy with personal stuff, but Crusader of Hope for a simul you've caught. Didn't realize that was the first time. Picking up a couple players here, and we're going to get started with just over 20. I don't mind if it's like 22. But I think 25. Anyway, we're not getting that many. I did change the start time like by half an hour. I hope that didn't... Although it was yesterday, I think I made an announcement in my Lichess team, the Sparkle Horse team. Also, you can always check my Twitch channel on the info. I always, if I have a time change, I'm going to be a little late. I always try to make a notification. Some FM started a simul 10 minutes ago. He took a big portion of players. Morphy Fisher. Who is that guy? I'll have to get him. We're going to have a talk with him in the back alley of chess. Z-do-D's. No problem. No problem. Crusader of Hope said if by 10 minutes you mean 2 hours. No, he means like the 10 minutes ago it started another simul by an FM. It's obviously out to get me. We got 17 players. He took some of my players. That's alright. Turistaya, good to see you. We're going to get started in a couple minutes. Anyway, I was feeling like I wasn't going to go for 25 players today. But I think sometimes if I'm feeling fully rested, if I don't have a busy schedule, I don't mind if the simul goes like 3 hours. But if I'm kind of busy and I've been working a lot, the 2.5 hours is kind of where it's at normally for maximum long games. With this time control, 30, 40. If I bump it up to like 40, 40, it can, and with 25 players, it can get to like 3 hours. So we're kind of looking at 2.5 hours for the longest possible games with this time control. I just want to warn anybody, we're going to start in like 2 minutes. If anybody wants to drop out because the time control is going to be 2 hours plus for the longest games, do it now, because we don't want to really like take spots away from people who want to play, and have people drop out at the last minute. So if anybody's not sure they can play all the time, then quit now. We're going to start now. So if you're unsure if you can finish, it's better you didn't play. Although now it really doesn't matter, because I'm probably going to take like 23, and it's between 20 and 25. So I'm going to start. If 1 or 2 people drop out, no problem. Shevadingen's going to be here in like 2 minutes, and like, oh man, I'm late again. What happened? Did somebody just withdraw? Or I had another board and it disappeared. Okay, that's really weird. All right. Oh, I almost played F4. I forgot it's not the Wacky Wednesday weird opening stream. Glidesim Literature. Let's play E4. I've been playing more E4, but in the simul, I want to mix it up. Just a warning to everybody. I had an internet hiccup tonight, which is quite unusual. My internet is normally fairly stable, so I want to be careful a little bit here. How's our ping? It looks good. I want to be a little bit warning you guys that there's a small chance I could lose my internet. Future Chess GM. Alright guys. So, just if I do get disconnected by some weird chance, just hang out and I'll be right back. So as usual, we have a lot of tough players. Oxnard is Oxnard from Australia. 2300. That's quite strong. All right. So normally the kind of thing is that I'm going to spend a lot of time talking in the first 20 minutes, but when we get down to like 30 minutes, and basically when we get to the point where we have less time than the average opponent, I'm going to start like just moving faster and concentrate on just not like losing on time. That's kind of how I generally operate when I'm doing the simuls. Okay, Geese, we're trying to mix it up with white. A lot of d4, c4, knight f3, and even g3. With black, I'm avoiding like more dubious stuff. It will throw in an occasional Scandinavian or the Caro-Kann. Some guy named Jeroen is playing f4 against me. Alright, we could play this move d6. Kind of interesting. Bong, bang, bing. Is today simul day? Oh no, it never showed up for me. Was the simuls a thing before online chess? Yes. Simuls are a very important part of the chess culture of the last 200 years, really. Be interesting to find out when the first simultaneous exhibition was ever played. You'll have to contact Mr. Edward Winner in Geneva, Switzerland, and ask him. He's like the world's foremost chess historic authority on chess history. Edward Winter's chess notes. Edward. Passive Freya. If they're passive, they must be like really hyper aggressive. Friendly alien. You're the opposite of what you seem. Okay, e4. Joseph Blackburn already did lots of simuls back in the 18th century. You mean the 19th century? He was definitely not doing simuls in the 18th century. Yeah, Joseph Henry Blackburn was like started at the age of 18. He was actually a checkers or drafts player in his youth, and learned chess when he was like 18. Became like the second best player in the world, basically. E4, G6. The modern defense. The best beard. Pirate Master. Oxnard. Well, we'll play G3. And this guy's strong. A bunch of strong Latvian. A bunch of strong players that I don't even know of are playing. Guys, on Wednesdays, I'm doing a Blitz and Classical stream every day, Monday to Friday, at 10 a.m. Central European time. But on Wednesdays, I'm doing kind of weird openings day. We call it Wacky Wednesday or Weird Wednesday, when we're playing non-standard, at least for me, non-standard openings. That's kind of a new thing we've done the last 2 weeks. Steve Heyman, Morphetal Fisher. Morphetal Fisher is an old regular here. Turistaya with the London system. Right away. C5 is an interesting move to try against that immediate bishop f4. And Jeroen, I'm going to try out this so-called system. He also had drunk the most whiskey during chess matches ever. Is that true during the matches? I didn't know that. He had a reputation for drinking during the matches. I need to brush up on my Blackburn. The Black Death was his nickname. I guess mostly because of the beard, although he was fearsome with both colors. Zudidis, let's go with our comfort zone, the Panav attack against the Caro-Kann. I want to bring myself to start playing more mainline Caro-Kann with white, but I haven't really had time to sit down and work out a lot of systems in the main lines of the Caro-Kann. So the Scotch, yeah. I need another lifetime just to learn openings, basically. Let's be like Nigel Short and lose with Queen F6. No, not today. Nick 606, it's so cool that you played this line because I was just studying this with one of my students yesterday, who's not here. I don't think he's here. So I was just mentioning to him that, the main line is Bishop D7. But this line with knight d7 I have a lot of experience with. It's a good alternative. Azim I can't talk. Azim Li Sortari, which I usually say better than that. Nimzo Indian. And against the modern, I need a more aggressive approach. I'm playing kind of conservative stuff with white. Jan Brown. Speaking of conservative, I'm going to play e3 here. And that could turn into the same opening except my knight's on c3. Unusual move order by Hetre, another strong player, 2148. Unusual move order you don't come across very often. Knight f6 and c6, nothing wrong with that though. I'm going to be forced to play maybe that same line that I have on the other board there. Crazy Horse with my math teacher used to play this in high school. I don't know what it's called, queen takes d4. It kind of loses a tempo, but you're white, so you can waste a move, so to speak. Morphetal Fisher now playing d5. Quite an unusual continuation. And so, against the Scotch, I'm not that well versed in the main lines. I'm going to play g6. Did you hear some explosion last night? Morphetal Fisher asked me. Now, I personally did not hear it, although there was definitely a loud explosion in Budapest. The authorities said that it's in the center somewhere in like an abandoned flat or something like that, but that's all I know. Yeah, I wouldn't rule out terrorism, but not really clear what it was at this point. Okay, e3. I didn't hear it. I slept right through it, but apparently it's not, not made up. There was a loud explosion in Budapest. Queen b6 here is the most dynamic move, but I'm just wondering if white can... Yeah, white does some really tricky gambits, possibly with knight c3 there. I'm just going to avoid that. I can exchange on d4 first. Yeah, interesting that you know about that, Morphetal Fisher, because I wasn't sure if it made like the international news. So I didn't really have time. I've been working mostly today. I didn't have time to really look through the international news sites, but obviously it's covered by the local news. Another London system. Wow, we can play like 2 games with the same line. Maybe we'll try something different against passive Freya rather than c5. This Pilot 100, another strong player. Wow. It must be like an advertisement, like just strong players play this simul somewhere. Oxnard with a c5 now. And I'm thinking like c4. Need a little coffee. Move 11, welcome to the stream, man. So, against Geese. I had a modern defense the other day on the Blitz stream where I fouled up the moves with this new player who's been playing a lot of my streams. Why am I going to play c5 there? There's this player called WGM Alexandra, and I absolutely butchered the move order in another modern where I was white. Knight c3 is an interesting move. I'm using interesting for everything. Usually I say interesting when something's bad. So, just so you know. Bishop g2. Rechess. Let's play a King's Indian. Crusader of Hope, good. Not watching this time, but playing. Watching and playing. Babak 888. This is a very key line in the English defense. And Queen e3. Why not? It looks like an aggressive alternative to like Queen d1 or Queen a4. This is not a Scotch. It's not a center game. It's a Sicilian. I don't have a pawn on c7. It's much more usual to play this kind of position. Would be much more usual with the pawn on c7, the pawn on e7. It would be a center game. So Mustang, we've got an English here. I always play g3. I'm not a big fan of the d4 lines. Got a lot of Englishes, actually. Then you missed that the Cuban pitcher Fernandez of the Marlins. What? He died in a boat accident. Oh my God. Whoa. Holy shit. That's insane. That is so tragic. Oh man. Yeah, I didn't know about that. That's terrifying. Jeez. What can you say, man? You just got to be lucky for every day you get. That is really not good news. Brutal. Jose Fernandez. That kind of puts a damper on things for, you know, for a few. We have a moment of silence for Marlins Fernandez. Yeah, that's really unbelievable, man. He was a young man. A lot of terrible things can happen to anybody. How to even begin to accept news like somebody like that just tragically dying? It's unbelievable. What to say? There's nothing to say, you know. I don't know. But Jeroen, I would have preferred you didn't drop that wonderful news in the stream, but we can't deny reality, I guess. Knight c3. E5 here, a bit like unusual with the knight on f6. Usually you want the knight on f6 kind of going to e7 when you play e5. And we're going to regroup this pawn here. So Glideson, hi. What's up, man? Springing this kind of info on me is the kind of mental warfare that comes with playing a chess match. Well, knight takes c6, bringing a pawn toward the center here. Yeah, I mean, well, it's not like it's my favorite team, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, the news of somebody tragically dying is tragic no matter who it was. E takes d4, d5. But yeah, you can tell I didn't read the news. Obviously, I would have known about that. I don't know what I was doing all the day. But actually, something's not right. It must have happened in the middle of the day because I did read I did read the news in the morning, so it couldn't have happened. Well, obviously, it didn't happen in the middle of the morning. Probably happened during the day. Well, I missed most of the day's news. Knight f6, but I didn't see anything about the Budapest explosion. Actually in the news this morning, which actually happened the night before. So, all right, a lot of English type stuff. Man, just one after another. Champignon. I'm going to play d4. And there is an interesting position, guys. There was this player, Dr. Muhammad, on Lee Chess who was suspicious. And actually, what just happened? I just went back in a game, or what happened there? Bishop d2. Dr. Muhammad played exactly like that other guy, except he played d5. I'll show you guys when I get back. When I get back to that position, I'll show you what the heck I'm talking about. All right, bishop g7 or knight f6. Well, I'm not sure it makes a world of difference. Knight f6, bishop c3, bishop g7. Probably doesn't make that big difference. Euron, it's okay, man. I'm gonna be, shocked. Just, it happened during the stream. It's like I have to recover mentally there. No, I don't mind. I mean, you told me. It's not like you lied to me or something. You broke me the news, and will save me the pain later. But yeah, that's shocking. I mean, forget about sports for a minute. I mean, just for anybody. So, but moving on, a6 from Jan Braun. This is a very annoying line. I'm going to play b3. Now, e3 from m4-7. I don't think there's anything fancy I can do here. Actually thinking about d5. I could do that in some other gambit type situations where there's like a weakness on d3. This is a known position. I'm going to play bishop takes c3. I played it against the international master Mark Quinn from Ireland once. Okay, so knight f3. Crazy horse. Mustang. Mustang's played e5 with c5. And what I was going to say here was, if we look back here, in this position, Dr. Muhammad, with my bishop on f1, bring the bishop back. All right, Dr. Muhammad played d5 here, and actually, no, my bishop is on g2, right? Yeah. Dr. Muhammad played d5 there. It's a really weird pawn sacrifice that is okay for black, apparently. He can actually play d5. It loses a pawn, but like black gets really serious kind of counterplay. Very strange. So bishop g5 now, and we're going to try to... How are we going to play this? h6 or not h6? I guess we're going to have to play h6 at some point. Yeah, don't worry about it, Jeroen. I'm just half joking. I mean, you can't just hide reality, but... unusual line from Azim Lisotari, which I have seen before. Now, queen e2. We had queen h5 the other day from actually one of our opponents here today. M47. But he played queen h5. I made a bad mistake the other day. I played g6, queen e2, knight c6 right away. And I have to play g6, queen e2, knight f6. It's a really important mistake I made the other day. So I forget sometimes the theory. Now, knight f6 right away here. What's the difference really in the position? If I play knight f6 right away, or knight c6 here, knight c6, pawn takes f5, bishop takes g2, knight c6, knight f3. And the point is I should play knight f6, put pressure on e4. So when we start getting a little bit lower on time, I'm going to start commenting less and just kind of focusing on the game more and playing more quickly if I get the chance. Okay, bishop e3, kind of an unusual move, but it doesn't make a difference, I think. Usually you see knight c3 first. A Gambit, hello? finish my coffee. I'm gonna wake up a little bit here. Basically, working a lot today. So an unusual position with the bishop on e7. I mean, usually it would be like bishop on g7 here, and knight on e7. Typical plan on the queen side for white to play b4 there. And then this is unusual crazy horse opening, but it looks viable for white. And I really have to decide, what kind of setup I'm going to play with black. G6 and bishop G7. Morphy Fischer. All right, so F3. So it's almost identical to the game. Just I haven't played G6. It's identical to that other game I was talking about. And now knight C6, and there are sort of traps here that white can fall into. And F5 or B6, that's the question. Do we want to play B6 or F5 against M4-7? I've definitely tried both. Larson played this for black. Somebody was mentioning Larson the last Blitz stream I did. And he is one of my favorite players, although I haven't really talked about him really very much lately. So, castles, bishop e2. And then this is an unusual line, but I think interesting for black. We did have one on the stream a while back. And bishop f5, this famous move that Capablanca played, I think, queen b3. And it's never really been clear to me whether it's better to play pawn takes pawn first, or even now I don't know concretely which is better, queen b3 or pawn takes pawn first. A good question, I guess. Again, says I was looking to pick up a defense against d4 to learn. I'm doubting. Doubting? You're doubting between the King's Indian and the Grunfeld. I heard the Grunfeld requires a lot more study, many more variations. I don't think so. I think they both have a lot of variations and they both require a lot of study. I don't think that one is necessarily more complicated than the other. Both are very hyper-modern, very aggressive approaches, and both, I would say both require a lot of work. I'm going to play a kind of unusual system here with knight c6. It's probably most common to play g5 and like bishop g3, knight e4. Or maybe I should stick with that. Alright. It's a simul. I have a lot of games going. I'll play what I know. Bishop e3. Yeah, Capablanca move. But some people said it was a flaw in his opening. Capablanca not really known for his opening knowledge, but that particular position I think is good. Now I'm not really remembering this. Pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn. I can win a pawn maybe with like bishop takes c3, pawn takes c3, knight takes e4. Although there he could play queen h5 check or a number of things that look kind of annoying. So I'm not sure it's a good idea to try to cash in on this pawn for black with pawn takes pawn, bishop takes c3 and knight takes e4. Bishop takes e4, queen h4 check. Because the intermezzo queen h5 would seemingly give white like a considerable amount of counterplay. I think that black is probably best just sticking with maybe just pawn takes pawn and castles. I have to look at this for a minute. This is the second time in this week I've had a little trouble with the English defense, like wondering what is the theory again. I could take and then play e5 though. That looks like a really reasonable way of approaching it. Alright. G6, unusual mix of A6 and G6. by Jan Brown, but I guess it's okay for black. All right, back to main theory. I don't want to waste too much time on any one game. Rechess plays a very quiet variation here. They always play the Pirates against e4. Well, I think they would obviously be related. Maybe. I think Pirates and King's Indian a bit more in common. I mean, when the Grunfeld you're playing d5. With the King's Indian it's d6, and that structure is going to be a bit more familiar to you. So we've actually transposed to a Caro-Kann. That's interesting. From the London system to Caro-Kann, I don't think I've ever actually had a game that actually directly transposed from a London system to the Caro-Kann. That's pretty amazing. Here I can opt to mess up White's pawn structure. Wonder if that's something I should do. Alright, and then e5 is kind of a threat, so this was the plan. We're going to stick with the plan. Spent a lot of time on that position. And we're drifting down to the point where we're almost even on time. So I wanna focus on that and not get in time pressure. Zudi D's with e6, a very solid line. I play knight c6 a lot myself, and it depends on how black wants to play now. Yeah, I think the Pirates is more of a match for the King's Indian type thing. And h6, I don't think it's a necessary move for Mustang. Okay, so pawn structure is changing here, and it looks like we have a big option here between either knight d4 or a big choice, a big choice between knight d4 and knight e7. And knight d4, bishop takes d4, pawn takes d4, e5. That would be like a bizarre variation. Knight d4, bishop takes, pawn takes d4, and then e5. What do I do, like castle or something? Castle. I feel like white is fallen behind in development. Also, knight e7 is pretty solid for black, although not as aggressive as knight d4. If knight d4, queen f2, maybe c5 even. It's a little weird. So perhaps knight e7. Although then knight f3, knight g6, I guess. Alright, it looks a little passive, but more solid. Glides in Literatura, you got in the tournament? How did you do that? Wait a minute. Did you just join or something? How did Glideson get in so late? Or was he already in there? D4 for M47. Yeah, most of the books kind of recommend D3 for white, but D4 is underestimated. I think, well, in this position particularly, B6 allows like D5, D6. Is that even dangerous though? Weird. B6, pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn, queen d5. I guess b6 is playable. Alright. Now queen c2, this is kind of an old main line of this opening. Now bishop takes, check, and d6. We're in somewhat familiar territory there. Bishop e2. White has not played knight to b3 in this classical dragon. I feel for you, Numks, but now you can watch us all go down. Oh, it's Numks. He missed the simul. Alright, we're going to play, I guess, d5. Play a reverse Tarash here. Geese played c5, and now you're actually bringing back some weird memory. I think I looked at this recently, and white's supposed to play pawn takes pawn and bishop e3 or something like that. And this game looks like white has an edge. I can play like knight to d5. Knight d5, bishop takes e7, queen takes e7. It's not very dynamic to play knight d5, but white seems to have an advantage. And trading pieces is kind of a safe approach. Being that this is a simul, I have to be a little bit more practical than I might normally. Rook d1 with crazy horse, trying to make this math teacher variation sort of work. He could play e5. That looks kind of scary. Bishop g7 and d4. d4 or not? That's the question. Alright guys, we're going to start picking up the pace a little bit. We're down to like 30 minutes. Something's wrong with the horizon on the webcam. It's askew. Are you sure? No, it's not the horizon. It's just that that's the way my apartment is built. I was like, I thought the computer wasn't like level at first, or my laptop, but it's not my laptop, it's the building. Actually, I live on the roof. But thanks for pointing that out, because it freaked me out for a second. I thought, oh my god, he's right. Like there's been an earthquake or something. Jeroen, what are you doing there? Wow. That is an original approach. Bishop e2. If pawn takes pawn, knight e5, what do I do there? Some kind of sneaky gambit variation or something. Wow. That is a bit weird. Bishop e2, pawn takes pawn, knight e5, bishop takes e2, queen takes e2, and suddenly, like, I can't even really protect the e4 pawn. Oh, that is a really neat sort of resource. I'm just going to develop a piece here. I'm not convinced that that's even good for me to try to take that pawn. And now, against Morphy-Tal Fischer, I think that I'm supposed to play... Well, you can play h4 type ideas. But maybe I should play bishop h6 first and then h4. Bishop h6, bishop h8, and then h4. That makes sense. It would be a rotation to the right, because we have to think of it from my perspective. Just the building is actually, the roof actually goes like that. Don't worry. That's the way it was built. One side of the room is higher than the other. That's what happens. You gotta make sacrifices when you live in the penthouse, Knight f3, knight g6. But I don't have to play knight g6. I mean, maybe it's best to just break up the pawn chain and play d6 and blockade there. Okay, we can play d5 against Pilot 100. And it equalizes, but winning chances are somewhat limited. But it's still like the best move. Clearly the best move for black. Bishop e3 here. And now queen c2, a very unusual move. Almost everybody plays queen b3. It's like Fischer-Petrosian. Actually, how is Fischer-Petrosian now? Queen b3. Yeah, queen b3, knight a5, queen a4 check, bishop d7. That's Fischer-Petrosian. Queen c2, kind of unusual. Maybe there's some tricks to this particular queen c2 move. I best be careful. All right. Passive Treya. And then Gleitson Literatura is ages behind everyone else. He's starting late. He's like, oh, you mean the game started? So, Sebastian Ola. So we're going with the pawn. Oh, wait a minute here. I have to watch out for knight g5. I guess it's not really a big deal, though, in this particular position. Okay. In most positions, it would be a big deal, but I can live with that. Okay, we're in a kind of mainline theory there. I've got against Champignon, Marazzi. You don't get often with white. Although I don't mind playing the white side of the Marazzi. I prefer it to the black side. And time's kind of gone, so we're going to need to speed things up a bit here. Pawn takes pawn. And I thought we were going to go aggressive against Morphy-Tal Fischer with h4. To consult Norman's Mises for his opinion about this variation. Maybe bishop d3 or pawn takes pawn is interesting. Bishop d3 or pawn takes pawn, or even c5 is playable. e6 there. He could play knight a5. I think that's the idea if I play. If I play what? What am I going to say? Alright, let's play b3. Just quiet move. Alright guys, I need to pick up the pace. You don't have to play faster because I'm playing faster, but I do need to play faster. In fact, I have to play faster. So I don't play fast just because I'm playing fast. I have to. You have a choice, you know, so queen here check. I think I would maybe not mind an ending. I'm just really trying to resist the urge to sneeze. If you're wondering why I'm making weird faces, I have very, very bad like allergy to some sort of plant in the park, and we live pretty close, so it's got to be some kind of weird plant allergy. Knight g5, highly weird move in this particular position. Crazy horse. So he wants to like play, I guess, f4 or something. I really like to just develop my pieces if I could, but he's kind of making it a little difficult for me to develop my pieces. I guess I'm gonna play h6. And now b6, and I think I was here before. That's what I'm saying. I think I played this before against somebody, and I couldn't really get anything. And then I found a few games in the database which were pretty obscure. e5, and then knight g4. What am I supposed to do there? Bishop f4, and black's like threatening bishop b7 in the meantime. So I studied this and I still forgot what I'm supposed to do, which is really, really sad. e5, I feel like I'm supposed to play e5, and then after knight g4, again I forgot. Bishop f4, knight c6, he attacks it again, but maybe I have some trick. I have some trick with queen d5 perhaps. That must be it. I'm still not sure how the heck it works. e5, let's just try it. We'll think about it later. Bad idea though. Generally speaking, don't do what I just did and say, alright, we'll just figure it out later. For the most part, that's usually a bad idea. Passive Freya. I think I can play knight h5 here. That looks like the one drawback in white's position. I have to try to take advantage of it. The omission of h3. Alright, we're going for it. We're getting kind of low on time. Now the question is this. Okay, we're going to play for a win against Pilot 10, so I'm going to try to avoid all the exchanges that might normally happen there. And it's a kind of Scandinavian. Wow, m4-7 is threatening knight f3. Okay. Time to pay attention a little bit here. It's a very alert move. Knight f3, blocking his own guy to set up some kind of tricks. Maybe queen c7 looks like a good way to like lose a piece or something. Gotta be careful. Alright, and that's an unusual move, h3. In this case, I'm pretty sure I should take this. While I can take and make him take with the f pawn there. Wow, okay, so DNT spent a lot of time in that position. And then knight c6 here. I could trade on d5. I'm not particularly thrilled about it. It doesn't really make a big difference, I guess. Okay, Marazzi. Guys, I've got to pick up the pace and play a little faster. I'm definitely gonna have time problems if I don't play faster. Here we go. So, develop the pieces. Take this guy on d5. Take on d5. It's a common theme. Just take on d5 every game. I don't want to take on... Look, I can take on d5 at every position. But I don't want to. How about a maneuver here? Like a queen e8. Take on d5. I can almost take on d5 here. It's the universal move. Always just take on d5. Take on d5. Not in this one. I'm going to grab that pawn. I'd like to keep my king in the center, but it's a little dangerous, so perhaps at this position I'm better off not going there. And Jeroen, I don't know where to put my queen here. I guess pretend I'm Alexander Reprintsev, the Ural master, formerly living in the United States. I like to play with the queen on a5, knight on c6. Creative. He'd like wacky Wednesdays. He was quite into the wackiness of Wednesdays. Alright, he played the Albin counter gambit, I remember, once against Yermolinsky, which is like a really crazy thing to do. Okay. Against Gladstone, I'm going to play bishop d3, because last time I played him, I don't think I played that gambit, and Boleslavsky played a similar gambit in the knight f3, knight c3, two knights variation. Not quite, this one's not quite as good, but it's playable. And now castles kingside, Steve Heyman. Man, maybe I should play knight f6. This is kind of a weird position, though. I'm wondering if he knows more than I do. I mean, maybe this is actually good for white. Never seen anyone do this exactly. I feel like I have to play this, but then d5 could be very strong. Gotta be careful in this position. Castle's kingside. Steve is... I've never seen anybody do this. Knight f6, d5. Could be a strong possibility. So, maybe I'm best just developing my pieces. Knight c2, another idea against Champignon. And Oxnard is actually going into like a Tarash type position, which is a solid way for black to play. What do they do in the pure classical variation after bishop e3? I wouldn't worry too much about the classical variation. I play it and it's not really dangerous for black, my experience. Okay, so a3, interesting move there from rechess. Giving this bishop some retreat squares, making me think twice about my plan of taking on c4. Maybe I should play something else. Bishop g4. Bishop g4, bishop e3. I don't really have too much time here. b6. It's a good move, a3. How about knight e4? But if knight e4, he just takes on d5. I'm crazy. e6, yeah, it doesn't work. I can't play knight e4 here. e6, knight back to c3, and I just, like, lose a pawn. Alright, I'm just definitely thinking too much. Best to just kind of keep it simple. h3 from Turistaya. I want to get my queen back home. Babak 888. Babak 888. Queen g6 maybe. You guys are tough. I want to take this guy. Now Steve played rook e1. So now knight f6. Seriously? This must be some line I was not familiar with. This whole idea of play by white is new to me. Just play h3, and I should just ignore this bishop on g3, I guess. Alright, castles, bishop b7, or maybe rook b8 or d6. Can I play d6 here? Or just knight f6, developing a piece? This is a problematic position. I'm just going to castle. White's slightly better there. Now where? Bishop d3 or bishop a2? This a2 in this position. A lot of strong players who rated like 2100 plus. Knight e3 is interesting. Mustang 2-5 from Romania. Knight e3 with the idea of d5 square or e3 here perhaps is not good. Wow. E3 takes and rook d8, and he's on my pawn there. Not really sure what I'm supposed to do now. Doesn't look like I have much of an advantage. This one, he plays like b5. Knight takes d4. It doesn't look like I have anything. I don't know where my time went. I guess I just spent too much time maneuvering on in this game. Looks like black is like equalized. Maybe a4. Alright, not too much time there. A lot of quiet sort of positions I've got in some of these games, and I need to make sure that I play safely. d6 or c5 in this game. I guess d6 looks a little more solid. Knight f3, bishop g6, castles. We've got, man, Babak 888 barreling down the F file, forcing me to lose time, basically. Knight to there. So this is what I expected in this game. Now bishop f4. And although there is a possibility here of queen d5, maybe that was the move that I saw. Queen d5, but queen takes d5, knight takes d5, knight c6, or even queen takes, knight takes e3, pawn takes e3. Doesn't really look good for me. I feel like I have to play bishop f4 against Geese. Yeah, this guy looks like he's just like playing this out. f4 is probably my best chance here. I guess that's my best chance. I don't know, f4 or takes. It's not so bad for black, but I don't really like the position. f4. Pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn. Don't want to give away all, you know. Yeah, it's not that simple. Okay, f4. And here we should have good attacking chances, but he took back with the f-pawn, which makes a lot of sense. Actually, that makes a lot of sense. I need to develop my pieces. So let's get it going. Not too much time. 20 minutes left. The fact that Simon is so strong overall, with everyone trying to bring their A game, I really think a sign of respect. Yeah, there's a lot of strong players here. Yaroon, can I castle queenside? Kind of seems thematic. The way I develop my pieces now, very sophisticated move. Bishop A5 from Mustang, 1984. Was a good year. 1984. That is a really kind of sophisticated move. And now knight g4. It's very interesting that you played the Champignon, because I had seen someone drop a piece like that actually once. It doesn't drop a piece though, does it? Bishop takes g4. Of course not. I mean, this is normal. I had this game before, and I had there's a Miles Sachs game. Is this exact position? I think Sachs Miles, where Tony actually drew somehow with black, but I think that black's got a tough position in that knight g4 type of position that you just went into. I played the accelerated dragon a lot, and I really don't think that you should do that. Here we can sack a pawn for activity. The alternative is what? Like knight e4? Seems kind of lame. Bishop takes f6. Knight a4. Seems lame, but you've got to think outside the box sometimes. Maybe knight a4 is the way to play here. Alright. e4. The center or not? We don't play with e4, just quietly e3. b6. Now d4. Or like e3 and d4. I was thinking about knight takes e2 here. Kind of a tough call, actually. I don't know what I'm doing. I really don't know what I'm doing here. Queen d5. Is that a move? Does that make any sense? I guess it makes some weird sense somehow. Getting out of there. Queen d1. And Mustang plays bishop h3. At least now I can put a piece on d5. What else can I do? Not much. So you guys are tough though. Now b6 or just bishop d7, bishop e8. Oxnard. Oxnard is from Australia, but he's Oxnard, California comes to mind. This kind of structure I don't play a lot. Queen takes d4. Lightson goes into the main line of that gambit. h6 and knight h5. Or just knight h5 straight away. Knight h5 straight away looks kind of obvious. Take. Not a big deal for white though, probably. h6, knight f3, and then what do I do? I'm just wasting time. I can play h6, knight f3. Oh, h6 is probably good. It seems weird, but it's probably good. And now, okay, pilot 100. We go into an ending where I'm actually better. I don't know whether to do bishop b7 or take in this position, honestly. Guess I take. We're down to 17 minutes. Okay. So Morphy Top Fischer obviously has to be very careful about his king position here. At the same time, I want to be careful about my development and my king too. Okay, so knight d5. We could take with a knight. I guess that's the right way to go about this. King c1. So I didn't know how to make this, what to make of this. Bishop takes a3, bishop takes e6, and like take on, I guess it's a fair exchange. Well, it's a trap or something, so he has bishop b4 at the end, and he wins the exchange. I didn't see that. Maybe I'll just have to play another move, like knight d5. Knight c5, I mean, he'll give up the bishop. I should get some compensation for this sacrificed pawn. Knight e6, good, I missed that entirely. Bishop takes e6. And Oxnard, who's played a lot of games here we've never played. That's kind of weird. I guess he just plays bullet mostly. d1. Although I'm not playing that much, just like randomly against people. f3. And here we've got knight h5 or knight takes e4. But knight takes e4 probably loses. Double exchange and a queen f3 type thing. Black has to be a little bit careful here how I go about this. I mean, what I want to do is exchange pieces and like surround his pawn slowly. Might be difficult to do that, but we're going to try. Yeah, it's really tough. I mean, there's so many players playing pretty well against me. e3 or bishop d2. And everybody's fast. Almost everyone has their like move prepared before I even start to think, basically. Although I try to tell people not, to not do that too much, to really take their time. There's no prize for winning. I mean, the goal here is to learn something. So just remember that. Knight takes e5. This should be good for me. So passive Freya. Maybe g6. And this is the point against Champagnon where I want to just trade knights and play against his bishop. Knight e5. Rook takes f8. And then g4. Wow, that's quite the move. Maybe I can take on f3 and eliminate that knight and play c5. But we'll see. Alright. Queen b6 from Gleitzen. Maybe queen e2. Mustang playing a pretty cool game, I have to say. And then we're better here. Do we want to exchange bishop on f3? Kind of a tough call. I mean, my bishop's kind of too strong to even exchange for doubling those pawns. Against Hirun, knight g5, interesting move. I probably have to play knight h6 to defend that. Or I could just trade and play e6 as well. We're getting kind of low on time, so I want to make sure I take my time, but not too much. pretty much everybody's like moving instantly, which isn't necessary. Alright, knight f6 is forced here. I could play knight f4, but yeah, that loses a piece. Never mind. I have to play knight f6. Azim Lisutari allowing knight d5. No, that drops a piece. Let's see, knight d5, queen takes b2, knight c7 check. King moves to d8, I take on a8. And then my knight is defensible. So I'm not sure this is really sound for black. Queen d7. White seems to have some scary type of threats. Bring the king toward the center. Kind of difficult to think about how to do that, though. f6 and e5. Ironically blocking my own bishop. Gleitzen, I want to say he blundered. I guess he did. Yeah, 96 is... Not necessarily because he hung his bishop, though. It's another problem. I wonder if it's best to play like g3 here. e3. I don't know. Knight e5 and Nick 606 is suddenly probably better after this move. I'm going to have to be careful not to be worse now. Alright, so e6 I was thinking. Safe move. Not an exciting position against Jan Brown, as usual. He's very, very solid, and I don't really see any advantage for white here, which is typical. The Slav is like impossible for white to get an advantage if black plays solidly. Basically impossible to get an advantage. And f4 is kind of risky for white there. And now bishop b7. h3. I want to say h3 here. Can I do that? h3, knight takes d5. h3, knight takes e5. Bishop takes e5. What is going on? Knight d4 or something? Down to 15 minutes, guys. Nice. A classical tournament increment. Look, if you're really serious, move 11, make a suggestion, because Thibault and Lichess would probably consider it if people ask for a certain kind of tournament. I mean, I'm sure that they'd be willing to consider doing it. Mustang 1984. Playing like a master, honestly. So here, my king is really not good on f8, obviously. We have a good game against Morphital Fischer. This looks... I mean, even bishop h3, kind of an ironic move, looks like a reasonable idea. Alright, it's not good to spend too much time on this position. A lot of options, really. Seems kind of weird to play knight away from g5. What to do exactly? Bishop h3. Bishop e4. Knight takes h7 is not completely nuts. Maybe rook h4. Rook h4 asking for bishop f6. Or just like rook h2. It looks a little bit weird. Alright, I've got to be practical. We're down to like 13 minutes, and practicality rules. So, alright. Everybody's a GM, basically. Rook d7. Like, dude, can you play a more solid move? Man, I don't think you could play a more solid move than rook d7. I'll start moving my king back and forth or something here, basically. Bishop b7, knight d2. This is a tough position, but white is really under threat. Black is under threat now. I think I have to be careful. And then d5? Really? Wow. d5 looks okay for me, but it's still probably equal. Maybe I should play f4 against Mustang. .98? Knight at h7, actually. Oxnard. I'm just gonna like pass here. Really, no, knight d3. Knight d3 may not be the best. Jeroen, where the time goes when you're having fun, right, guys? I don't know where it goes. How do I get your knight off of that square? Knight to d4, maybe? Queen b8. That was not expected. Okay, so we are winning this pawn at least. Knight takes f6. And we've got a little bit of ideas now against Mustang, at least. Still, I think that you gotta kind of like Black's play in that game. Nick 606. f6 maybe is worth putting my pawns on the dark squares here. Get him off of e5. Probably not worth it. Rook e8. I don't know if that's really a great idea either. I have to be really careful here not to be worse. Rook d7, c5, maybe c5 actually. Then he plays d6, f6, f6, then rook e6. Some use to that maybe. All right, I'm wasting a bit of time. And now knight d4, bishop g5. All right, this ending, compensation for pawn. There's some sacrifices here. It's like passive. Freya's not being passive anymore. Queen takes d8. Right, so this should be a winning ending for me against Babak. Kind of disturbingly aggressive move from Nick 606. Maybe here I have a plan. So not really a lot of time to commentate now. I just try to play quickly. The time control is basically pretty fast. That's the bottom line. So I'd like to take my time there more, but it just becomes like a blitz fest. Knight takes d4. I think I like it. And this was the plan. Not good enough though. Rook f4. What am I afraid of here? Yeah, check and doubling his rooks. It's kind of a pain. I'm just going to blockade. I guess, banking on knight a4 here. Sure if that actually works or not. Knight e4, wow. To hold that pawn. And c5, a different plan. We have had a similar game against someone in that opening. Not here. Queen f2. I have to be careful. Jeez. So you guys are not allowed to move that fast. It's just ridiculous. Alright. Even feels like the pieces are moving fast. Even the animation feels fast. I'm gonna open up the game against Azim Lisotari. Nick 606. D6 now. Alright, I think I have to be cautious here. Nick is playing pretty well for his rating. 1600. Maybe blockade at this point with c5. Putting some pawns on the dark squares. I really hate when the games are decided by time. Bishop a6. Okay, I don't mind trading a set of pieces there. So, yeah, I'm just not a big fan of the games being decided by time in a simul, but that's what it comes down to sometimes. Knight e4 here, knight d7 maybe. Pretty solid move. We're winning against Babak, but he's like moving too fast. Now against Mustang played really well this whole game. Ooh, this is a sharp position. Kind of a sharp position, actually. Wow. And Mustang is frightening. He's only 1700 in bullet, but he's pretty scary. Alright, queen a4. Not my original plan there. Feels like my queen is going astray or something. Knight takes e5. What is this, like, theory? Knight takes e5. Knight takes e7 check. Knight takes e7 check? I guess I have to play knight takes e7 check. And this is to barely equalize or something like that. Jeroen is really out to get me here. Now with bishop e3. Knight b4. Zoodds. We played this guy before. We did manage to beat him once. I don't know how. And now knight b4, another strong move. Bishop b1. Ooh, looks like a questionable move. Here. Barely hanging on against Nick 606. Looks like. And this game is one game where we should win without any questions asked. Not many of those today. I don't really have time to check the stream. Ooh, I won 320 left. Wow, that's kind of a passive move, 92. And we're in a good position, I think, against Morphy-Tal Fischer. I like our position, but it's not that easy to play. Maybe knight takes e4 is okay. And GCEW, we have played before, But he's got some counterplay. You got to kind of admire how he's gambited this pawn. So, and then bishop d6, sidestepping my cheap tactical threat. White remains with this like perfect coordination. King f1. Got to make progress on the queen side somehow, it looks like. It's actually not so easy for me to win this, apparently. With the extra pawn and the two good knights. Zoody's is just crushing me. In this game we actually have an advantage. And Mustang played like perfectly this whole game. Not going to be too many center pawn loss for black in this game. I can tell you guys that now. Wow, king h8? What? I didn't expect that. Wow. Can just play king h8. Why would you want to just play king h8, actually? I guess it's as good as anything. Wow, what a move. It's like amazing, geese. You could just take. I mean, I don't think you were in any danger if you just take. But king h8, okay. Got nothing here against Jan Brown, which is pretty much the standard. Got to be careful not to be worse against him. His is provisionally 2,000, but he's like better than that. I don't think I've ever beaten him. Oh, I did beat him once, but he's beaten me twice. So I'll try not to lose against him at least. Make a safe move, king h1. And here we're in a good shape in this ending with the two bishops. This is at least equal for black. We're winning this. Winning this against Ozzy. Sorry, we're better here. Knight a5 now. Better here with good prospects against Champignon. f4, I want to say. And Steve with the... It's unclear to me who's better here in this one. I have to be a bit careful. But the open diagonal, man, the long diagonal ought to be something for black. Bishop takes f3. Rook takes f3, pawn takes pawn. That actually is as good as anything, probably. Knight f6. I don't know what to do here. Like b3. So I feel like the time is too limited to play really effectively. Are winning this against Babak. Well, Ozzy Star, you seem like better than before. Like you've gotten stronger since the last time we played. Rook takes d7. Well, the last time in the springtime, you seem to have gotten better. That's my opinion. e4 now. And this ending, wow. Bishop d5. Probably not dangerous. Bishop d5, rook takes. And then, right now I would say I might almost have a tactic there, but it doesn't work probably. Bishop takes there, no, it's protected, okay. So, just getting like positionally outplayed by Mustangs. And geese with a very correct game, I would say. That variation is pretty tough. I don't see how I'm supposed to really get an advantage against geese in that line. I think the whole classical Pierce is probably like just harmless for black. Turistaya castling queenside? Really? That looks kind of crazy. But I guess like Karyakin would do something like that, honestly. Alright. Looks like a Karyakin type of plan, like Karyakin Adams. Just like asking to get checkmated. Now we have to reposition our pieces here against Babak. And an interesting endgame. Wow. I like have to trade queens there. Maybe I can hold on against Zudidis. It's certainly not a fun position. Speaking of fun positions, where should I go with my rook here? Rook e8 or rook e8, I guess. Rook e8? Rook d8 or rook e8. I don't know. Tough one. Jan Brown. I feel like I'm playing an IM or something when I play this guy. Reminds me of Miklos Galiash. I have to make some kind of consolation. Consolation. Some kind of... Consolation isn't the right word. Wow, look at Steve coming with Queen A4. Extremely dangerous move. In-between move. To be very careful here not to get checkmated. This actually isn't a lot of fun either. Now f6 is a strange move from Oxnard. Did not expect that. That is not really what he's been up to this game or about. And this is a nice ending I like. We're down to 6 minutes. We got an hour left in the simul. And we're down to 6 minutes for the games. It's kind of ridiculous. I don't know if I want to trade there. I don't think I want to trade. But against Zudidis, I feel like he might have made it an accuracy with knight d3. In the technical ending, I should have a kind of significant edge against most players. One of my strongest phases of the game. Here, I don't have anything. I mean, this looks like it should just be a draw against geese. This is winning position, basically. And this is a nightmare. H3 just loses. Mustang, damn dude. Played pretty well there, buddy. Extremely fast. I mean, you've only used like 15 minutes or less. Reminds you of someone else. Romania. I think I could just like resign in this game. Practically like resign. Just try to be practical. Practically and practical resign. Wow. C5 from Steve Heyman. Wow, dude. Pawn takes pawn. I think this is just a draw. I mean, you can play for a win if you want, but you'd probably both be best served by agreeing to a draw there in that one. Time control seems faster than the last simul. I don't know why. C4, the white starts moving the queenside majority. I don't know if this is worth playing bishop f3. Interesting move. Oh wow, this guy actually used all his time. He's worse than me with the time there. All right. Queen d5. But Oxnard not really doing a lot. Nor am I. Lucian Brown is extremely strong. I don't think it's ever made a mistake against me. Now I get this pawn back. He takes the f pawn. He's threatening a fork. Or should I protect my pawn here? I don't have time to worry about this. Do I have time to worry about this h pawn? I don't think so. F pawn. It's called an f pawn, right? Okay, there's f5. White should be better after that. Down to like 5 minutes. It's kind of crazy. Like basically Zugzwang here against Nick. Bishop e8. Barely like not lost. Near Zugzwang. Bishop e8. Queen takes or bishop takes. h4. Wow. Okay. We're just gonna have to play blitz. This game, Steve Heyman is 16. He's 1300 in bullet, and he's playing this well. Dude, are you sure? I'm like getting mated. Probably like getting mated by force. Yeah, okay. What can I play here? If I have a5 at some point, it's gonna get mated no matter what. It's a perfect game by white. It's a little hard to believe you're like 1300 in blitz, in bullet. Is there some defense? Maybe there's some kind of weird defense here. All right. Wow, d5. I guess I have to take it. What you guys really want to do is play for my time pressure. So try to play like extra fast if you can. Steve made a strange move exchanging on that pawn there. I don't understand that. Here. Alright, thought I was nearly lost. This looks like it's lost. Azim Soitari playing very, very dangerous games here. And man, this is dangerous for me for sure. Interesting pawn sacrifice there by white. I'm going to sack it back. Barely holding on there. No draw. I think I'm going to play for a win here with rook d5, knight c6, and that's a weird move. So ZDDs, everybody, like, right when they're at the verge of winning, they sort of cave in and make a weird move. It's fortunate for me because we had several very, very dangerous situations here against Steve in particular. And this one, I don't think I'm going to save this game. I have to play now extremely awkward move. I'm just going to have to lose this pawn, basically. Maybe knight e3. Think about Mustangs, the time usage is kind of suspicious. I mean, he played so fast, so perfectly. Wow. Alright, so I'm going to give this pawn back with c4. And here, we've got to be careful. Alright. Turistaya. Is knight g5 going to kill me or no? Can just move quickly. We're down to like 3 minutes. Wish you guys would use your time instead of trying to flag me, though. The people that try to flag me with like bad positions, it's so aggravating. All right. Let's see. All right, rook f5. And here, kind of out of the woods against Nick. This is totally perfect game by black. Like, ridiculous, perfect. You played perfectly. No defense. Just gonna resign against Mustang, I guess. The opening was a joke, but black played like a GM after that. So on this one, I want to attack him, but I don't know if I have enough there for a successful attack. And now, I guess e5 we need to play against m4-7. Trying to keep the position blocked. We should be able to hold on, basically, against ZDDs. This game is just practically resignable. I'm only down 1 pawn, so I'm not resigning purely for practical reasons. And now this move, very cagey defense by Nick. And we're gonna win a piece here. e5. Yeah, the idea, guys, is just try to move real fast and try to win on time. That's what I recommend to you guys. So we got some counterplay against Turistaya, against this guy. We're winning. Okay, Azim played too quickly. Bishop c5 check. Yurun. Now, good D. Pilot hanging on. Now I have to play this move and I'm lost. Mustang's center pawn loss was like nearly 0. If he's not a master, I mean, I would eat my shirt, basically. Although I don't know why a master would play such a weird opening as he did there. Like an intentionally bad opening to look like an amateur and then play perfectly. Who knows? So here we've got check and queen c6. Queen c6 looks good. All right. And now we're good. We're better in this game, but it's not so easy to make progress. There's some sort of solid move, so not to lose on time. I'm just going to resign. This was like obviously extremely strong opponent. Of whatever variety. Now knight f6 check hangs a piece. I keep having this hallucination that I can play knight f6 check for some reason. Just really strange idea. Wow, we're really low on time. Everybody playing for time. Alright. And now what? What should I do now? I don't know. Eventually, Oxnard played e5. Very interesting pawn structure going on there. How am I going to get rid of this knight, basically? Got to play h6. d5. Man, this is awkward. I guess knight b8, knight d7. Bishop e2. That's a strong move. And f5, I guess. Offers a draw. Okay. It's a little late to offer a draw there. Trying to win my pawn again? Alright, 40 seconds. Bishop d5. Threatening me. Wow. Actually better. GCEW. Time is money. Where to go with my knight here? f7. Kind of in Zugzwang against Oxnard with his like king opened up. It doesn't matter. Middle game Zugzwang, like. e4. Alright. M47 there in his bad time pressure as me. Against Jeroen I'm hanging on. A very strange move, king f1 here from Steve. That is a weird move, man. Why would you play king f1? Would anybody play that move? King f1? Really? It seems odd to play king f1 in that position. Really understand. Bishop h3. Alright, I've got to get this knight out of d5. It's just killing me here, but I've got to be careful how I do it. Man, don't really have time. e3. Knight on d4 is too strong. We're kind of in Zugzwang. There was another guy, actually, Oxnard, playing like, feels like impossible to make a move in that position, basically. Okay. So knight d3, g5, g6, basically forced. Queen e1 trading queens. Alright. I probably shouldn't trade queens, but I don't really know what to do. Maybe queen f6. Queen takes queen. Limited amount of time. I want to keep it kind of simple. And then king f1, I can't understand that move. Really having a hard time rationalizing why white played king f1 there. It's just so bizarre. Man, that is so bizarre. Just can't understand it. Alright, we're just getting really, really low on time. Basically in Zugzwang. play f4. It's kind of ugly. Did win a piece there against rechess. Queenside majority against passive Freya should be good for me. e5 here, at the very least, is better for white. Just trying to hang on now. Yeah. h3. These like guys are extremely. Even Jeroen's gonna beat me on time. Wow, rook takes e4 from m4-7, kind of in panic mode there. It looks like. Wait, I'm checking. And I have to trade pieces like against Jan Brown. Not to be worse. Here we're up a piece. Rook takes rook. Why am I losing on time? I'm like moving instantly every game. How is that not 40 seconds? It's kind of crazy. Really weird. Oh, I have bishop d4 check. I'm not getting my increment or what? Yeah, this guy's playing king f1. It's crazy. I have to be careful here. b4. You guys are like bullet players who play in simuls. A rook e7 is really bad news for me there. Better take this way. Knight f5. So, yeah. People start panicking like way too early. I think that's part of why it seems like everybody's playing to win on time. But like when they have 4 minutes, they just start freaking out. Why am I like losing on time? I'm getting mated here. I have no increments. Just better, I mean. But Zudi Deuce has like 20 minutes and he's like playing into a lost position. Yeah, this guy is highly suspicious. King f1. Okay. Alright, I'll just resign that. This is also probably just lost. Thanks for the draw for you, and you probably went on time. Knight f4. Whatever. I have to offer more draws, I guess. Man, I missed the move knight b4 before on that game. But GCW has 8 minutes. He's like moving instantly. This is probably lost against Oxnard, but I'm going to try to play it out. I didn't see Jeroen's game, so I'm probably lost on time on that one. Takes Turistaya playing super fast. 7 minutes. And this one I need to be a little bit careful of that knight, but I don't want him to get in there. That's okay. We'll do king d5. This is lost for white. Knight e4. Wow. We can always give back the exchange, right? I don't understand where my increment is. Where is my increment? You know, it's like I'm not getting a 40-second increment. There's no way I'm getting a 40-second increment here. That's not a 40-second increment. There's no way I got a 40-second increment there. On some boards, it just doesn't seem to exist. I didn't take nearly like 40 seconds to make a move. There's no way. I'm just not getting the time. It's not 40 seconds. Not even close to 40 seconds. I mean, I'm not even taking 40 seconds to like play all my moves on all boards. There's no way. I just got flagged. Like, without any possible way I actually used that much time. M47. Interesting game. That's probably correct. Correct result. This is lost for me against Oxnard. And Thursday has 7 minutes dropping pieces. That's bizarre. 7 minutes is a lot of time. So it's like kind of weird. Yeah. And Nick is playing on with 35 minutes there. He should have taken his time when he had it. This is one of the better games today. Like a kind of important game strategically, theoretically, for black in the knight g4 variation of the Marazzi there. And this is... So we lost, I don't know, 2 or 3. The time was outrageous fast today. Seemed that way anyway. But a lot of good players too. G5. Champignon. And then Steve forgot about that pawn on the B file. Pretty important stuff. I just don't think I got 40 seconds increment for the most part. And now like bishop e5. I just did not spend a full minute on those games I lost on time. Even with all the games I was playing at the same time. There's just basically no way. It's kind of like a lag thing or something, making me lose on time. Bishop f6 here. Rook e8. And then bishop f6 or something. Well, we were really getting tortured by Doctor. And this is obviously a win for white. Maybe it's not that easy. King out in the center. With Jan Brown, I might as well just offer a draw now. The guy is like unbeatable. My bishop here is getting kind of weird. My bishop is getting kind of weird on g5, though it's pretty well protected. Maybe bishop h3. This ending with the 2 bishops and the shattered pawns is probably pretty good, actually, for me. Rook e2. Yeah, but I don't think that I even used, 40 seconds, which is like the maximum. Doc DNT. She is totally wrecking me here. What did I see? Something for white, of course, in this position. Yeah, it looks like I'm lost here. Rook d4. And this game is really problematic. Ooh, we're going to drop a pawn. I don't know how to make progress here, actually. Okay, bishop d6. F4, check the king back. We're totally lost there. Against Oxnard, who has a very high rating. I must play b4. That should be winning for me. But again, not the point, to try to win on time. Offers a draw. Okay, obviously a draw. Nobody's going to win that game in a million years. I have to be careful I don't get my rook trapped on d6 against Champignon. This is like GCW putting pressure on me. Down material. And then queen f7, very good defense. But here, I have the interesting move. Rook c6. Which is pretty bizarre. I stopped him from playing c5, which is a plan he's been trying to execute for like a long time in this game. Knight h5. And now my king is in trouble with that knight. So what do I do? Get on with life, I guess, on the queen side. Maybe bishop d3 is forced. Not a lot of time there. All right, and now he's off to the other side. Maybe king f3. Morphy Fischer blundered. Forgot I had a bishop on h3. Don't get many blunders around here. Knight d5 check. 2 blunders in a row. This one's not as clear. And this should be winning for me. Like lights out, zugzwang. Knight f4. Hetre. Queen takes. Bishop takes, pawn takes. Should be a winning position. And now, man, Zooty-Doos is like close to losing this. But I don't think he can lose. Man, I don't think he can lose this. This is maybe unlosable. Let's see, rook c7, knight d5. Rook h4. Where should I go? Rook b4. That loses for me. Weird position, actually. Z-D-Doos, Z-Do-Ds. I can't say it. Cannot say it at all. Rook takes. And then I have to sack against DNT. Bishop f6 is not happening. No, I'm not trading bishops. Although I could, actually. Fischer, yeah, you could trade here and be better with the outside pass pawn and the bishops. And the bishop. Yeah, okay, I can trade. Actually. And now this move. Alright. Normally you don't want that dark squared bishop like he has there to get out of control, but I think I'm okay. Miracle that white missed rook c1 in this game, which is probably like almost winning. Rook takes c6 check. And now we are probably not going to win against Zooty-Ds, but we're probably not going to lose either. Hetre has a nice knight, but it's outside pawn for me should guarantee I don't lose, more or less. And this position actually is not time for celebration here. Outside pawn. But he's threatening d4. Should I stop? Should I stop away from that? Maybe queen d3. Just get in the center. Put my queen on d4 there. I don't know about this ending. It looks kind of close. That's a draw. I have to take this one. And this is a bit awkward. I mean, I can't allow c3. I have to take... Or wait a minute. I have rook c6 here. Whoa, rook c6. And then take, c3, c2, c7. Take, king up. Whoa, wait a minute. Here we have to think. Take. And then it's a draw. That's a mistake. So I do have to take here. Alright. And this should really be a win. Maybe a4. King is stuck. King is stuck in this one. It's going to be hard to liberate that piece. You have to play like c5. And bishop e3. Strong move. Knight b5. Perhaps defends. Okay, I'm just going to offer a draw. This obviously draw. As ZD does. We have to draw that. And he's going to play on though. If he made the move and accepted draw, there's a mosquito in my office. A huge mosquito in my office. How dare you come my office? Mosquito. How dare you come in my office? That is not okay. We don't have much time in this one. I think we're going to just lose. I don't see how I could possibly save this. Looks hopeless. And now an interesting moment. Oh, he's got a check there. Whoa, wait a minute. Okay, king h2, I guess. Oxnard with the super technique. Yeah. Oxnard just crushed me like a dog. The dog that I am. Queen d4. I did not have enough time to play that sophisticated position against Oxnard. It was, oh, did I hallucinate here? b3? Thought I had b3. This still should be good for me. The game against Oxnard was like a very, very sophisticated positional situation where basically you need a lot of time to play that kind of game, and I was just like moving my pieces back and forth. It's not really the right situation to be playing like a 2300 type player with like 20 other boards. So even the ending I was probably capable of holding, but I just blundered. Okay, rook e4 here looks like an active move. You could also play c6. It's interesting. c6 is worth looking at. For example, maybe not c6. C6 is probably good. All right, knight there. Maybe I need to play as actively as possible here. Knight c3. Man, I didn't really want to let you do that knight e4 move. Still can't believe I'm not better. Can't believe I'm not butter. Slightly different thing. Right. So rook c5.